Good morning, I'm Rob King, head women's soccer coach here at Young Harris. I think I sort of stumbled into it, to be quite honest with you. I obviously came over to the States as a player, played collegiately here, and when I finished my playing career, I became a graduate assistant there, starting my master's degree. And then when I finished that, I wasn't sure what direction to go into. Come from a long line of soccer players. My father was a professional soccer player, grandfather professional soccer player. And when I finished playing, I knew that was what I loved to do. And an opportunity presented itself at a small college not far from where I was living at the time. And I looked into that, and then from that point on, decided that was a career I wanted to be involved with. Again, I started at a very small school, Martin Methodist College in Pulaski, Tennessee. Was actually a junior college when I started there, and we transitioned from junior college to 4-year school, and that was where things began for me coaching men's soccer. We built in a short period of time. We built a very successful program, won the national tournament, stayed there 2 years, and then moved from there. I spent a semester. I actually went from there back into high school to scratch an itch that I had, because I'd trained to be a teacher back home in the UK before coming over. So I actually went into high school for a year. Got about halfway through that year, another opportunity presented itself at the University of Montevallo. They were looking to hire a men's coach, but also bring somebody in that would launch the women's soccer program there. And that was an opportunity that was really exciting for me. So I was offered the position, took that position, spent 6 years at Montevallo at the Division II level. Again, had success on both programs. The men there won the conference championship, very first one in school history in any of their sports at the time. So I stayed at Montevallo for 6 years. Then another opportunity presented itself at Kennesaw State. It was a brand new program that they were launching, and I took the position there, and that one was in women's soccer. So at that point I moved exclusively into the women's game and started the program there. Had a lot of success there, won the NCAA Division II National Championship. When we transitioned into D1, we won a lot of conference crowns and things as well in the ASUN. So that was the largest sort of bulk of my career at Kennesaw. And then thought at the time that I wanted to do something else. I started my own business, did that for a couple of years, and then realized that my real passion was in mentoring and working with student athletes on a daily basis. And the opportunity came up here, and the rest, as they say, is history, and I'm really enjoying my time here. Sort of nailing a coaching style is quite difficult to do, because what we do as coaches is very varied in our job description, really. You obviously have the on-field part, the competitive part, the recruiting piece, but more than that, you want to be a role model and an educator and somebody that can guide and shape young people. So I think what we do is quite varied. It's important for me that we have players in the program that buy into what we want to do as a program here. It's important that we have a closeness, and we have a lot of connections with our players and between our players, and that piece is very important. So creating an environment where our student athletes can thrive academically and athletically is what we strive for. And that changes a little bit each year with the types of student athletes that we have in, and the direction that they want to take our program. So it changes a little bit. Wrap up on the season. This one was a real challenging one for us. We've been building a squad here, and again, it's quite a young squad. Talented players, motivated players. We were just a little bit thin this year in the experience level of the players that we had. So the squad was young, had quite a bit of adversity there that we faced with injuries and some other issues. And I don't think the squad this year realized that they had enough depth and they had enough in their locker to overcome those things early enough. And by the time we realized that towards the end of the season, we let a couple of games slip that we could possibly have won earlier in the year, to set ourselves up for a better finish to our season. So it started well. We had a very good win over Carson Newman. Have been in the national final, championship game back in 2017, and we started off with 3 straight wins on the season. But as adversity hit, we didn't really quite have enough there to overcome those things, or we didn't think we did. So that was a learning experience for our team. We've just wrapped up individual meetings with all of our players, and that's something that we don't want to let happen again, and hopefully we've learned from. I'm super excited about the spring. Next season is is something where you bring in new recruits in, and then the squad changes and things by the time we get to next year. But priority one for us right now is addressing exactly where we are right now at this moment, making sure that our fitness levels and all the things that we speak about as a team are where they need to be. So that's where we are at this moment. As we come in for the spring, we begin working on our speed of play, and making sure that everybody that's in our current squad gets to the level that we want them at, gets to the level that they want to have, so that they can have that contribution next year. And then we mix in our new players. It was signing day yesterday. We've got a great young class that's coming in, Georgia-based players that are going to push our program on even further. So there's a lot of excitement in there from the players that have been in their individual meetings this week. They can't wait for the season again. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done between now and then, and we're looking forward to that. I think when I first started, for me as a player, and then as a very young coach, it was more about the championships and a lot of competitive moments in our season, and those things are still vitally important for anybody that's in coaching. You want to make sure that you're getting the most out of the players that you have, and you want to make sure that you're striving for championships and those sorts of things. So that piece is still very important. Most rewarding bit for me, particularly as I've got older, has been just watching the growth that we have with our student athletes. So they typically come in around 18 years old, maybe a little older at times, but watching them grow and mature, earn their degrees, develop as leaders, all of those things are wonderful. We get to have a front row seat in that, and hopefully guide that in a real positive way. So that piece is really rewarding. And then I think again, looking back on my career, I'm still in touch. The way that social media is now, I'm in touch with players that played for me 25, 26 years ago, and they have their own families and their own children that are playing the sport, and just having those sort of connections with lifelong connections is really exciting, and seeing the way that our players relate to one another, and the sort of family atmosphere that we have, that's really exciting.